Hi guys, my name is Unique. If you're new to the channel, then you should know that the content covered here is financial literacy in Canadian immigration. If you feel as though this content may be for you, then please remember to comment, like, share, most importantly subscribe, and please do not forget to hit that notification bell so of course you'll be the first to know whenever there's a new video uploaded. If you are already an existing subscriber, welcome back guys. So guys, today's video is going to be focusing on investments, specifically segregated funds versus mutual funds. So it will be a compare and contrast between the two. I actually have a special guest coming on to deliver that information. You know what guys, I don't want you guys to be tired of me talking all the time or seeing my face. So it is Financial Literacy Month here in Canada, and I feel like it would be very important to have other people on the platform that is able to deliver the information as well. With that being said, stay tuned guys. Hey guys, welcome back. So today our guest is the one and only Jimmy Kayonga. He is a senior financial advisor. He is, he is the guy. He knows what he's talking about. He knows his stuff. He's also my business partner. So I really hope you guys enjoy the content that we are, bringing to you today. And if you have any questions or, concerns, comments, whatever, leave it in the comment section below. I'll also be leaving Jimmy's information in the description section below as well, so you can feel free to hit him up directly to ask him any questions that you guys may have. So with that being said, I'm going to let Jimmy take the floor, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Excited to be on your channel here. You've been putting out such amazing content, when it comes to financial literacy and immigration. I think those are very complex, topics that people really need to know. I myself, I like to know a lot about immigration because, I'm working with newcomers to Canada a lot, and your content has really been helping me just, help them in other areas of life, even though I'm not in immigration,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you so much for the content you put out there.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you appreciate it. And I hope that the content we produce today will be of benefit to those who are, tuned in and watching.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Do I go ahead? Do I have
Yeah, you can jump right in. So we want to talk about, the difference between a segregated funds and the difference between a mutual funds. I've had a lot of investment questions where people are trying to figure out what is the best investment vehicle to invest in. And, I know you and I, our first pick is the segregated fund, but we won't be biased. So we will, let the people know what options are there, but we're just going to focus on the two because it's a lot of information to digest.
That's for sure. Okay. All right. It's one of those topics where, trying to figure out where to introduce the topic, because finance really is something that we don't talk, at the kitchen table at home or at a restaurant, sit down and start talking about finance. And now when we go beyond and think about, different way of investing our money, mutual fund and seg fund, that becomes even more complex because most people don't start thinking about this until, it's too late, or when, situations are just where you have creditors coming to, when they're coming after you and you don't know what to do. So these are some of the things that you have to think about when you think about, the future. Anything could happen, and sometimes we're not prepared. But I hope the content or the information that I'm going to share will help some people, plan a little bit better in, any situation that could come. And I'm going to talk about seg fund and mutual funds. They're pretty much similar in a way because, they're both the same. They have some similarity in between, how they're managed, where you can invest your money. And I'm going to jump right into it here just to compare it. But first here, I'm going to talk about how these two investment vehicles are similar in a sense. They're both professionally managed. And you can diversify that portfolio. It can in mutual fund or seg fund, it doesn't matter. You have the professional management, which means, they will be charging a management fee. So that's something you should be aware of. And these two funds, basically, they're also two better choices than investing in individual stocks, because it can be very complicated, searching, how is Apple doing? Is it the best time to invest in Costco? Things like that. So mutual funds and seg funds, they just simplify that for investors, just to invest a lot of money in one investment pool, and they will have access to fixed income funds, index funds, equity funds, international fund, ETFs, all that stuff. So it's just easy way to invest and diversify your portfolio. And that basically just means, your risk is already reduced. So those are just the basic, similarity between the two. So now let me just share a quick screen here to talk about seg funds, because like you said, we're always biased because it's our first, it's our go-to, option, seg funds. But I will also talk about them as I compare them to mutual funds. All right. So let me jump straight into it and talk about the similarity between those two. Similar to mutual funds, you have the ability to invest, so funds are pulled together, stocks, bonds, sometimes, mortgages and other credit vehicles that they pull together to make a fund that is diversified. That's the easiest way to define, mutual fund or seg funds, right? And for the seg funds, they're offered by life insurance companies. Seg fund is not purchased through a bank. So that being said, they're professionally managed, just as the mutual funds are. We have a fund manager who is dedicated to that particular portfolio, and they're trained and they're educated in moving funds accordingly. So these are the people that will manage your investment. It doesn't matter if it's a mutual fund or seg funds. They all have the professional management. Now, mutual funds don't have any guarantees, right? Now, for seg funds, there's that 10-year guarantee that you have. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about that, how they're different. You can choose 75% or 100% guarantee, which means after 10 years, you have 75% of your money guaranteed, or 100%. Now, that being said, if you choose 75 instead of 100%, you will pay less management fees, right? So that guarantee, the reason why they have that guarantee is because they have the extra management. Most of the time, if you compare a seg fund and a mutual fund, which are invested in the same, stocks and bonds, you will find that a seg fund has a little bit higher management ratio. Usually it's 0.5%. So if you have a mutual fund where you're paying 2.5%, that similar fund in a seg fund, it will be about 3%. So they have that extra MER that they charge, and that's because they have those guarantees. Okay. Now, for the seg funds, now let's talk a bit about the features that I talked about. The maturity guarantee, 10 years from the day you deposited. So if you're making deposits, periodic deposits, so every deposit has a different, maturity date, right? If I put in 1,000 today, that will mature in 2030 November. Now, if I'm putting money in December, that will mature December 2030, right? So every deposit comes with a different maturity date. Okay, they have the death benefit guarantee. So again, you could choose 75 to 100%. The higher guarantee you choose, you will pay a little bit more on the management ratio. So basically extra fees for that. Okay. So for the seg funds, they have the creditor protection that is already built into it. If you have the beneficiary as a family member, right? So I won't go into details on that, but if you name a family member as the beneficiary on that account, the creditor cannot touch your money in investments. So that's another feature to think about. Now, in mutual funds, that also is available, but it's that immediate family member, so spouse mostly. And I think, Yannick, you could correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I know for sure it's the spouse that has the creditor protection part. Is that right?
So I know when it comes to mutual funds, as long as it's a registered fund
Yeah.
like an RSP or a TFSA, within the mutual fund, then it has that protection. Whoever you have named as the beneficiary.
Okay. All right. Good to know on that as well. Okay. So seg funds also has the probate protection. So that basically eliminates, so here when somebody passes away and they have the investment in a seg funds, it goes straight to the named beneficiary. So you don't involve accountants, lawyers, there's no probate fees, all that stuff is already eliminated. Now with mutual funds, yes, they have the probate, protection, but the length time it takes forever for it to go through the accounting, lawyers, and all that stuff.
That
So
is
you have
right. Yeah. And the accounting fees are normally a bit higher as well too.
very high. Yeah. You're paying the accountant and the lawyer. So those are two separate fees. You don't pay one single fee there. And then you have to go for hearings, to read the will, what's the last will. So there's a lot, going on in a mutual fund than there is in a seg fund. When the person passes away, immediately the funds are transferred to the named beneficiary. So I think that's very important to think about when you're investing for a long term, right? 10, 20 years, in the future, we don't know, anything could happen. But if you have made this kind of decision ahead of time, there's, less trouble. Okay. And the other very, very important part in seg funds, they have resets. So let's say you invest 100,000 by, another 10%. You can lock in that gain and reset the guarantees, right? So you're basically putting like a stop loss on that investment. So it will never go below that new guaranteed amount that you reset to. So this is a very important feature that mutual funds don't offer because, like I said at the beginning, mutual funds don't have any guarantees. If your investment after 10 years is below 50%, that's it. That's what you walk away with. There is no any feature like this. Okay. Now, the same thing to mutual fund, you have the ability to diversify your portfolio. I think I touched a little bit on that, so I won't go into much detail. So you can invest them into different risk investment categories. Okay. Now, a little bit about the pros and cons of the seg funds. At the same time, I'll be comparing with the mutual fund again. So it's the confidentiality. I think this is very important. When I said how seg funds bypass the probate on all the hearing at the court, so your confidentiality is very, very important because you don't want, I don't know how many people to know that you're inheriting this amount of money. When the money is in a seg fund, it goes directly to the beneficiary. There's no, public proceedings. There's no lawyers involved. There's no accountants involved. So the confidentiality part, I think, is very important too. So all insurance companies are members of Assurance. So this is, a program or another type of insurance for insurance companies where, they're protected in case they go bankrupt. So at least that your investment is protected already, even if the company goes, out of business. I'm talking about insurance companies, right? Okay, now it has the death benefit guarantee. I talked about that. Maturity guarantee, I talked about that. It has the ability to bypass probate. Now, let's talk about the cons of seg funds. The first and probably the most obvious one is the fees. You're paying a little bit more fees for those guarantees and all those features. They come at a cost. And that's one thing that, you'll find that most investors are, they hold back to invest in seg funds because, they're thinking about that extra 0.5% that they have to pay on that investment. But you have to think about this way. What am I getting for that? I think that's the best way to think about it. But that's one of the disadvantage of seg funds. They have that extra fees that you have to pay. Now, except the management fees, if you withdraw your money before it matures, there's a penalty you have to pay. And that varies according to, based on which company you're invested in. So I can't tell you how much you will be charged. But yeah, there's that fee if you decide to take out your money before 10 years. Okay. It has the higher fees compared to mutual funds. I already talked about that. It has the seg funds have limited liquidity. That being said, in a mutual fund, if you decide to take out your money, that's very easy because there's no guarantees, there's no maturity date. You can take out your money anytime. Now with seg funds, that's limited because your money is locked until maturity, right? So you don't want to get that money out because there's penalties involved. So I find that with seg funds, you don't have that. Okay, I don't know if that's making sense right now.
Yeah. It makes sense. And when you say maturity, we're talking about the 10-year lock-in period, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And what would you say the penalty is if they were to withdraw their money out of their segregated fund, at say the 5-year or the 7-year mark, as opposed to 10 years?
Most insurance company, basically, with the way they look at it is there's no guarantee. First of all, you will get the market value. If the market is down, you will get that value, right? So you won't say, well, I invested 100,000, now you're giving me 99,000, right? What happened? Well, this month or this week, the market is 1% down. So you will get the market value. There won't be any guarantee. Now, if it's coming from RSP, there's those fees that you will have to pay because you're taking money from an RSP, unless of course it's for home buyers plan, all that stuff. Okay. Okay. Those are the fees that are involved.
Perfect. Thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome. All right. That concludes the slideshow that I had prepared for you guys. Unless you guys want me to do a different, presentation in the future, I would really appreciate to come back on the show. But thank you so much, Yannick, for giving me time to share this knowledge to
Absolutely, Jimmy. So I have one more question for you. So for the people that are a bit reluctant to invest because they're not quite sure, what investment vehicle to choose or what to go with, or they're kind of skeptical with, how the market fluctuates, and everybody wants to invest and everyone wants, a great return, but no one wants to consider, a potential loss. For those people that are a bit hesitant for those reasons, what would be your advice for them?
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult thing in investment is deciding when to enter the market, because anytime they could go up, anytime they're down, so there's no best timing to say, okay, now is the best time to invest in the market. Now, for someone who has taken into consideration, this is how much money I can put on the side, I think today or right now is the best time. So anytime you feel like, I'm ready, and, different people have different times when they feel like they're ready. But if you're starting with seg funds and you're putting money away, at least you have that peace of mind, in 10 years, my money will be there.
And it's guaranteed.
Fluctuation. So
perfect.
Guaranteed. So seg funds are always, go-to investment vehicle for someone who is starting out and they're scared about the market fluctuation. So,
last question for you. If you have someone that has money sitting in their savings account, would you recommend that they have money sitting in their savings account and they want to invest? Would you recommend that they take the money out of their savings account to invest? Do you think that is best? That is the best, decision to make, or the best decision to make?
It depends. If you have that savings account seated there, and you have to decide what's your emergency fund, right? Because that's something we don't consider that most of the time, but it's very important to have a little bit of emergency fund.
So right? When you say, sorry, don't mean to interrupt you here, but when you say emergency fund, can you just elaborate a little bit so the people listening, they understand exactly what is meant by emergency and an emergency fund?
So the advice is to have your 3 to 6 month income saved up in cash, preferably not in credit cards. The advice is to have 3 months to 6 months of your income seated. Now, if you have more than that now, I think you have a room to invest now.
Oh, that's amazing. You delivered some amazing information today. And again, I'm so happy to have you on the channel here. Guys, Jimmy is one of my business partners. He is also a senior financial advisor. He is amazing at what he does. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Jimmy directly, please feel free to look in the description below. You'll be able to find all of his information, his Instagram handle, his Facebook account, and his number as well, okay? Thank you so much, Jimmy. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. You know, this concludes our video for today. Please remember to comment, like, share, most importantly, subscribe, and do not forget to hit that notification bell so you will be the first to know whenever there is a new video uploaded. Thank you guys so much for watching again. See you on the next video. Bye.